Hi everyone, we're back, and tonight we're going to be talking about the 6 finalists of the Irish national selection. Today I'm joined by Joe, by Nick, and by Matt. Let's start with the first song in the Irish selection, which is Too Good For Your Love, sung by ADGY.
I'm really pleased to have ADGY in the Irish selection. As soon as I heard it on the first listen, I was like, yes, Ireland, this is exactly the sort of modernisation you need to bring to your quite often very, in the past, national final. Now, my worry about ADGY is that because it's such like a modern on-trend song, something that would sound good in a club, is that the tiny tin pot RTE TV studio may not be able to handle the bass and the upfrontness of this, and this is a general point really about what RTE are doing. I feel like they've really upgraded the songs this year, but if they're going to continue with the same format, it's not giving these songs a chance to, be heard in an arena environment, which is what they're going to need to do well at Eurovision. So, reminiscing about the good old days of the 90s when they could roll off 3 wins out of 4. The contest has changed. They really need to move with the time. So ADGY is a really good step in that direction.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of the catchiest songs in this Eurosong. And I especially love the energy it brings. And when the beat drops, like you really feel that it's kind of like a club anthem. And it would find its place in literally any club across from Europe. And I'm pretty sure that like even at Eurovision, all of the fans are going to go wild at the Euro Club when this gets played, whether it wins Eurosong or not. I'm also worried about the stage performance because the Late Late Show studio is not really fit for live performing that much, I would say. However, I do think that this is one of the strongest songs in this national selection. And from the first time that I listened to this song, it immediately stays in your head. And as mentioned, it has some really good beats. And it just like brings like a boost of power. Let's score ADGY out of 10. Let's start with you, Joe.
A 6.
Nick?
A 9.
Matt?
I'm going to give it a 6.
I'm going to give it an 8. We're going to continue with the second song, which is Midnight Summer Night, sung by Connolly.
Yeah, so I think this is a really unique song. When I heard it, I couldn't believe that it was actually in the national final for Ireland. And like Nick said, I feel that Ireland are going in a sort of real different direction. They're going with something that's more modern. And yeah, this reminds me of almost like listening to Enya. I've listened to Enya in the past and thought if Ireland could send something like this to Eurovision, I think it could do really well. The only thing I do worry about is can Connolly perform live? I know a few of the performers, they don't really seem to have that much experience. So I just really hope that with Connolly, if she is chosen, that she can perform well live. But if she can, then I think this could do really well. And yeah, it'd just be great to see Ireland finally doing well at Eurovision. It's been a while.
And for me, if I was to talk about Connolly, I'm actually really pleased this is in the selection because I think it's really good that they're wanting to showcase young talent. This is a new emerging artist, and I think there's so much potential with Connolly. But I do feel quite conflicted about the song, and it's really interesting because as soon as the songs dropped, I had so many messages from people saying, "Oh, have you heard this song in the Irish selection? It's right up your street, Joe. You'll really like this one." And I kind of sort of gave it a few listens, but it just didn't work for me. I couldn't connect with it, and I'm not entirely sure why, because I just don't think the kind of sort of fusion of kind of all its constituent parts work coherently for me. So, the lyrics, the vocal, the backing track, which every time I listen to it, I kind of sort of get a bit of a kind of sort of a sense of kind of sort of Coldplay clocks. And I struggle to kind of listen to it with that kind of like, ooh, ah. And for the whole thing just seems like it's nearly there. But I don't know, it just I'm not entirely sure that it's quite where it needs to be, but I am really pleased that it's there because it's young talent, and really good opportunity for Connolly to kind of sort of showcase what she has, because I think what I do see there is a real potential for an artist in the future, but maybe not with this song.
I just wanted to add that I just love the mood that this song gives when listening to it, and especially like for now we only have the lyric video, but that dark background and everything suited the song perfectly, and I hope that she goes for some similar type of staging as well in Eurosong.
Yeah.
Let's score it out of 10. Joe?
So at the moment I'm probably on a 3, but I do hope that it will be higher than that when I hear the live performance.
Nick?
4 from me.
Matt?
I'm going to give it 8.
I'm going to give it a 7. We're going to continue with Muni ND, which doesn't stand for New Day, Down in the Rain.
I'm so happy to see my initials appear at Eurovision at last. My recognition was long overdue. I can't sing, but maybe I could rap, so it would fit in nicely with this. This is one of the most British songs I've ever heard in an Irish selection. If you listen to British radio, songs like this, on stations like Kiss FM, 50% of the playlist is like this. So it's very much UK Spotify charts are very full of music like this, and it's I think it's a welcome change. I think Eurovision has a problem with urban music, that it's just not enough of it in the selections. Whether it's good or bad, it's obviously another matter, and I think this is a positive step forward. But even across Europe, if you look at European Spotify charts, local rap artists do tend to dominate. So I'm really pleased to see the song in the selection. The song itself, though, it's very chill. It's not unpleasant. Lyrically, it's a bit not really my sort of thing. But just overall, I'm just really pleased to see some diversification in the Irish national selection. I hope that's replicated elsewhere. And we need to, the more we get of urban music in the national selections, the more likely it's going to increase in quality. So, yeah, a positive development, I think, in this selection.
I think this is a really different, really unique song. When I first heard it, I was really surprised that Ireland have chose this as one of the songs for the national final. I thought it was good, but I just feel as though I've heard a lot of songs just like it on the radio. It's very different, it's very unique, but for me personally, I really like it when a country sends something which sounds like it's come from that country. So for me, Connolly, it sounds very Irish. And whilst I think Muni is good, I do think there are better songs in the selection and for me. But yeah, it's really good to have something really different, really unique. And as I say, I really like the direction that Ireland seems to be going this year with sending really different songs.
Let's score this one out of 10. Joe?
5 for me.
Nick?
6.
Matt?
5.
It's going to be a 4 from me. Next up, we have Wild Youth and We Are One. I saw as soon as the artists were announced that there was a huge buzz already about Wild Youth, and I don't know, but my expectations kind of skyrocketed, and I could not have been more disappointed. When artists have this idea about what a Eurovision song should be, this is what I think Wild Youth did, because this sounds like a cliche Eurovision entry, like a Eurovision purposely written entry that is not going to have much life outside of the contest, I believe. And the song itself, even though it has life in it, but at the same time, it sounds like it should have competed for Ireland at least 10 years ago and not in 2023. I don't know. I just feel a little bit disappointed about this one.
Yeah, I think I'd share those thoughts, Ervin, because I remember a couple of months ago, I think we originally kind of sort of reported that they'd announced that they were interested in entering. So they were very heavily rumoured, and being a popular band, they probably are the favourites going into this competition. So when the list came out, it was naturally the first one that I kind of sort of went to and kind of sort of clicked on. Thought, okay, yeah, let's give this a go. And yeah, I think I agree. What we've got here is actually a very competent, very good radio pop song by a boy band that is perfectly good. I can imagine it coming on the radio and kind of just enjoying listening to it, probably forgetting about it kind of sort of soon after, but I can see it kind of sort of being a radio hit, but not necessarily the right thing for Eurovision or to be competitive. And it's just kind of sort of one of those sorts of songs that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but we kind of sort of see these songs time and time again in Eurovision that end up with, what I would call like an accidental last place in the semi, where everyone kind of has it in the middle. It's completely inoffensive, so people won't dislike it, but people won't really like it enough to kind of sort of pick up the phone and vote, without necessarily kind of sort of being a kind of sort of a fan or part of that kind of sort of movement that they'll have domestically in Ireland.
On the point about that Ervin made about it being sort of like from the past, as it, being retro, it has really heavy U2 elements to it. It sounds like a lot of the 80s and 90s elements, songs. And I don't like to be one of those Euro fans who make direct comparisons to, that sounds like another song. But the 2020 Euro 20 football tournament anthem by U2 and Martin Garrix's We Are One, it's very, very similar.
Out of 10 for Wild Youth, Joe?
I'm going to say a 4.
Nick?
I'm actually going to give it a 7.
Okay. Matt?
I'm going to give it a 4.
I'm going to give this one a 5. Two songs left to go, so let's continue with Leila Jane and her song Wild.
Yeah, I think this is another unique song. When I first heard this, I thought, wow, Ireland are actually sending something good to the national final. I couldn't believe that they'd actually chose it. I couldn't believe that Leila Jane actually agreed to send a song to the national final, because I think Ireland seemed to have struggled in the past to actually have sort of really good songs. As I say, I think it's really unique. I love the video where she's in the bath, and I've seen Leila's other videos which are also really unique, really quirky. And I think if Leila did make it to Eurovision, I think she'd have some really great staging, something that really stood out. Listening to Leila, she seems like the sort of person who works really hard, and as I say, I think she'd put in a lot of effort if she did make it to Eurovision. So yeah, overall a really good song, and again, I think this could do really well at Eurovision as well.
Yeah, this is a similar sort of like upbeat kind of track like ADGY came with, so that's my only concern, that like they might be shooting for the same type of votes at Eurosong and that the votes might get split. But Leila's song is the kind of like dancey upbeat Europop that would find its place in any radio across Europe, and would be played and become probably like quite a big summer hit. It is very memorable, especially when she starts singing I Can Only Survive in the Wild. It has this kind of hook that's gonna stay in your memory, and I believe that it is going to make enough people remember her, even if whether she performs first, whether she performs last, she's going to be someone that people are going to remember, and I believe that she's going to do really well in Eurosong. And in case that she makes it to Eurovision with a proper good staging, I believe that she could bring Ireland back to the final as well.
Can I just add with this one, I just think it's super nice. Every time I listen to it, it just puts a big smile on my face. I just think it's a really nice thing to listen to. It's not anything that's, completely kind of sort of out of the box or different. It's just a really nice song, and I enjoy it.
Joe, Leila Jane, out of 10?
For me, this is an 8.
Nick?
6 for me.
Matt?
I'm going to give this a 7.
I'm going to give this one an 8. And the last song to speak about today is going to be Hawaii by Public Image Ltd.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say on this song. First of all, I just want to recognise that I understand that the song was written in particular for his wife who has Alzheimer's. It's a very personal song, obviously for him and her, and you know, for him to be able to take that to a wider stage in Ireland and maybe across Europe is a very positive thing. That said, though, the song is just so dreary. It's I was sort of bemused by it from the first listen. I mean, this is a punk rock legend. You know, this is a guy who's lit up the UK music scene in particular in the past. I feel like I really need to mention his disparaging views about Eurovision that have been reported. If you don't like the competition, maybe you shouldn't enter. Maybe it's not the right thing for you. It's as ridiculous as me entering a pie eating competition if I don't like pies. The contest has got millions of viewers. It brings a lot of joy and entertainment across the world. And if it's not for you, then maybe you should really think about whether you should enter or not. I'm really interested to see what Irish viewers make of this.
Well, I think I'm going to have to come in and disagree to a certain extent and agree on certain elements of what Nick said. I mean, for me, I've tried to approach this with an open mind. I'm not a particular fan of John Lydon and his previous bands. So yeah, I was really surprised when I saw their name in the list. But what I've tried to do is just to try to kind of sort of approach it with a completely open mind and just kind of sort of listen to the song and try to kind of sort of judge it on its merits. And I think that the backstory to this song is a really beautiful story. You know, it's dedicated to his wife of nearly 50 years, who has Alzheimer's, and trying to kind of sort of take her back to kind of sort of cherish those memories that she can still have. So, you know, looking back at kind of sort of the times they spent together in Hawaii, very kind of sort of romantic, not the sort of thing that you would associate with John Lydon over the years. And I think that's why it perhaps resonates a little bit different to me than perhaps anything that, you know, I'm aware of from his career to date. And I just think it's just nice. It's just kind of sort of that wonderful kind of sort of romantic, that kind of sort of vulnerability in the vocal. I don't think he's got a nice singing voice at all, but actually I think in a way, kind of sort of perversely, that kind of sort of helps the song, because it just feels like it's just a genuine, just almost kind of like any old guy, just singing something from the heart. So for me, I think if I was just to look at this purely just in terms of the composition, I think this is the best composition that we have within this competition in Ireland.
Out of 10 for Hawaii. Joe?
So purely on the song, I'm going for a 9.
Nick?
1.
Oh, wow. Matt?
I'm going to give this a 4.
I'm going to give this one a 7. All right, so as you can see, we have a tie on the top, which hasn't happened before. ADGY and Leila Jane are our favorites with 29 points each, followed by Connolly in third with 22 points. So these are the results of the 4 of us. And now let's do a little prediction. It's not who we want to win, but who do we think is going to win. Joe?
I think it will be Wild Youth.
Nick?
From fan base alone, and it's a decent enough song, I will also pick Wild Youth.
Matt?
I think it'll depend on how they perform live, but I think it could be between Connolly and Leila Jane.
For some reason, I also have a feeling that Connolly is going to be the one to win this. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know in the comments below whether you agree, whether you disagree with any of our thoughts and opinions, and let us know who your favorites are. Subscribe if you want to watch more videos like this and to be up to date with all of the future interviews that we're going to be doing with national final entrants and with the Eurovision entrants as well, of course. And thank you very much, Joe, Nick, and Matt for joining tonight. And I hope you all enjoy Eurosong.